Here we are once again. Welcome to the Gracious Hope live podcast. We are here to bring you the very best of contemporary issues regarding our faith and also serving our community. And the essence or the platform of this podcast is all about preserving and also promoting our Liberian Christian heritage. I'm your host, Alexander L. Red. Now, today we are talking about the essence of servant leadership, not as a slogan, but as a way of life that shows up where people actually live in our neighborhoods, our churches, our schools, our community meetings, and the quiet places where needs are real and resources are limited. Therefore, we say servant leadership is the kind of leadership that does not ask, how do I become seen, but it asks a question, who is being overlooked and how can I serve them with dignity? And those are the questions servant leadership answer. So it leads with listening, it carries burdens, it builds trust among community members slowly or gradually, and it stays when the applause fades. And that is why in the local community, servant leadership looks like showing up consistently. It means being willing to do the unseen work to mediate conflict without feeding into it, to help families to find their footing, to encourage young people toward purpose, and to lift others without keeping score. Servant leadership is the strength guided by hope and love. It is influence exercised with humility. And for those of us shaped by our faith in Christ, it mirrors the heart of Christ, who taught us that greatness is found in serving. Therefore, our listeners, we are so honored today on our podcast to welcome our special guest, Mr. Yudusie Eddie Tarpeh, a respected and trusted community leader in Northern California. Now, Mr. Tarpeh is known for his steady commitment to people, the kind that does not make headlines but makes a difference. Alongside him, we also celebrate his wife, Mrs. Amanda Tarpeh. The two of them were recently honored on November the 8th of this year in California. It was an honor and appreciation shown by various communities, that is, community members, for their selfless service. And today we want to learn from the spirit behind that selfless service. And that is why in our conversation today on this podcast, we will be talking about what servant leadership really costs and what it truly produces and how ordinary people can practice it in the practical ways where they see that it belongs in a community and serving people. So we will also reflect on how a leader sustains compassion without burning out, and how a family can serve together with joy, and how communities are strengthened when leaders choose faithfulness over fame. So whether you are a community organizer, a church worker, a parent, a mentor, or someone simply asking, how can I help my community become healthier? This particular podcast is for you today. So we'd like to welcome Mr. Yudusie E. Tarpeh into our studios today. Mr. Tarpeh, it is an honor to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm indeed honored.
Yes,
The,
November 28th. Yes, November 28th of this year, there was an honoring and appreciation for you and your wife, Amanda, for recognizing your immense contribution to the community, serving in humility. And a little background here, you served the community as its president, that is the Liberian Community Association of Northern California, for 2008 and 2009. And you've done a lot of other things in the community that I believe the leaders and the lay people in the community recognize that indeed they needed to organize this program to honor you. And for some of you who are listening right now, Mr. Tarpeh is also a teacher with the Contra Costa Unified School District. And so he has a very good wealth of experience and background in education. But we are so happy to see you here on our podcast. You know, I saw the video clip. I think it was posted by a community member on Facebook, um, and and a lot of people show up, and people were celebrating you and your wife. Now, how did this whole thing come about to have this kind of a honor and appreciation for you and your wife for being servants in the community?
Thank you for having me again. Let me just interject. It was
Mhm.
November 8th
November
instead
8th,
of
yes.
November 28th. Yeah, it was because of the body of work that we have done within this community. I have lived in California for 36 years. And before my first year, I was immersed into leadership role. I served as Secretary General of the association under the late James Jefferson Johnson. So from that time, I have just been a part of the community. And when my wife came 4 years later, she just complimented me in that. So I think it's a culmination of the manifestation of the, the blossoming of the garden that have happened. The people have seen the impact over the years. So that blooming garden of our impact was what, summoned our people, to honor us. They have honored us here over the years or so, but this sort of the culmination and like the icing on the cake, I would say it was.
Wow.
And it's rare to see both husband and wife being honored. At times it will be the woman being honored and the husband, compliments her, or the husband and then the wife compliment. But it is the body of work that we have done within this place because our life is just an embodiment of what God asks us to do. Greater man has no one than this, that a man will lay down his life for his friend. And we have dedicated our lives to laying it down for our community.
Yes, yes, indeed. Indeed. And being a servant of the people in the community and being recognized, it shows that your faith played a deeper role in all of this, because without your faith, you wouldn't have the heart of compassion to reach out to other people who are in need. So then, if you look at all of this and you kind of reflect, how does your faith or your wife faith uh, play out in your service to the people?
Oh, indeed, it does immensely. For me, what propelled me are these three virtues in life: compassion, as you alluded to, empathy, and altruism. That altruistic nature, what you put the interests of others first before self. And that has been my North Star, in doing those things. Because under those things, the byproduct of those things are kindness and generosity. And that's what people have seen in us, and they just chose to say, and the good thing was when the vision came from one of our members, who very well, Mistress Yasa Goba Washington Dolake, everybody just gravitated to it. And it was almost near unanimity, within maybe an hour, to 100 plus people just, avail themselves to that cause.
Yes.
So that was it.
And living in California in the community for 36 years, that's a very long time. And the longevity of that time can pretty much define your livelihood and how you get along with people, how you reach out to people. But in the midst of that, you also educate people, young people, with the school district as well.
Yeah.
Now, let's look at it when we are talking about the community in California. For some of you just joining us, we're talking about California, Northern California, uh, the Bay Area, Oakland, Fairfield, Vallejo, and if I forget, let me know because it's
San
been a while.
Francisco.
San Francisco, all those areas. We're talking about the Librarian Association there, and this is the former president of our guest today. He's our guest today, Mr. Yudusie Tarpeh, and he's been in the community for a long time, and he has served the community for a long time. And this recognition of his leadership and the way that he get along with people and the things that he has been doing over the years prompted the entire community to come together to have this festivity for to honor he and his wife. And that's what we're talking about. But the essence of servant leadership is it is something that is so sacrificial as a whole. Now, can you remember some of the challenges that you had to go through in your service to the people in your community, where through your faith you kept persevering and you were able to be successful?
Yeah, you see, I live by one word, nonsense, and all I want to do is just to truncate the none, and what makes sense is what we go with.
Mhm.
And we had to have newly arrived come within our community, refugees or so, and getting them acculturated to the system, was a tedious order, so, but there sometimes we might not, see eye to eye with certain things. So it was a challenge. I tell you a scenario. One time we were living in in Pinot, and my phone rang, the newly arrived had come and they were going at one another. It was very late. And my wife said, "Where you going?" I said, "I serve my people. My people need me. I have to go and, see that things get calm and, cooler heads prevail." So that was a challenge for us with, newly arrived coming in and, not getting along. But overall, we surmounted the seemingly insurmountable.
Yes, yes, and challenges always come up in any kind of in every community, but if a true leader will weather the storm and ensure that at the end of the day, it is all about relationship.
Indeed.
Okay, it's all about relationship and to preserve that relationship at the end of the day. And so it is something that some leaders do so skillfully and some fail. But upon this recognition alone is a telltale, is a genuine story that indeed you have been a genuine leader within that community. So to you, I mean, what does it mean to you to be a servant in the community and to serve people who are underserved or those who are in need? What does that mean to you? Or what kind of feeling does it bring to you?
Well, it brings immense joy for me, service. You see, Mahatma Gandhi said, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And that's my life, losing myself in the service of others. If I see happiness on the faces of people, that brings immense joy to me. So you see, servant leadership is about, caring for the welfare, the interests and welfare of others. And I talk about altruistic nature. It's not about me. It's about, helping others, because as the consummate altruist. You put the interest of others first before self. So you see, if I were to juxtapose, you know, servant first leader and a leader first individual, a servant first leader is one that put the interest paramount, you know, and they're not there for prestige, honor, as opposed to the other one, it is the honor, what you get from it, and those kind of things. And it's, you know, self-serving. But as a servant leader, the interest and well-being of others is paramount, and then you can empower, because John Maxwell said, you know, everything boils down to leadership. It rises and falls on leadership. So what we want to do is to build more leaders, empower people to be a better version of us, and that's what my wife and myself have endeavored doing, you know, over the years. And, you know, it's something that I started and she came. And the good thing was she embraced it, you know, and I'm so thankful for the fact she, you know, embraced it, and we, you know, see through the same prism.
Exactly, exactly. And looking at the markers of servant leadership, we are talking about people before your personal platform. And the focus is the well-being of others, especially those who are overlooked. Now, in your community, if you look around, have you come across a lot of people who are being overlooked? And you say, well, there's a need to reach out to them. And how did you do that?
Oh yeah, for me, my life is predicated on the least of our brethren. You see, I'm a man, minister of the gospel, a man of God, as you alluded to. So
Mhm.
greater Lord have no one than this, that a man will lay down his life for his friend. You know, who was the better embodiment of that? It was Christ, you know.
Mhm.
So it is his noble example that I'm trying to exemplify. And in doing that, I, you know, my heart goes to the marginalized. That's why I alluded to the three noble virtues that I live by: compassion, empathy, and that altruistic nature that see people first before even me, you know. Yeah. So the interest and well-being of people is paramount to me, and even sacrosanct.
Indeed, indeed, and and the reality is that Jesus, teaches that leadership in God's kingdom is not about status, control, or being served. It is about humble service. It is about sacrificial love and using authority to lift others up.
Yes.
So when Jesus said that, and that I know that you're okram with what he taught about servant leadership. Now, what does that say about you and your community and other leaders who came after when you were president of that association in your community?
Where we try building up leaders, and we have an incredible community. Let me hasten to add, you know, if you look within the diaspora, the Liberian community, you know, in Northern California, we are, you know, together, very united in all regards. And it is not me. We stand on the shoulders of giants, you know, people in our community that we emulate. And, you know, so we grow them, and they come into, you know, leadership role. But it is on the shoulders of giants within our community that we, you know, that we stand on. And you've known me before, you know, I know maybe you don't want to interject that, but when I was president of the community, you were my secretary
Yeah.
general, and you
Yes,
were very
yes.
instrumental in writing the letter to the first female president in Africa. You
Yes.
know, we brought her and gave her a time of our lives at that amazing, you know, hotel overlooking all of the Bay Area,
Yes,
Yeah. So
I remember. Yeah,
yeah,
Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Yes, yes. It was
yeah,
under your leadership. Yes.
it
When
was
she gave
mine.
the address.
But
Yes.
it was you that wrote that beautiful, as the consummate journalist that you are, when you wrote it, and she was coming to promote her book, she acquiesced to, us having a time with her, So I credit you for that. And you work with me, I
Hmm.
I'm not phased by, you know, another brilliant mind. So I relish those opportunities. So I can open up, and like I said, I operate on nonsense. And all I want to do is just truncate the none, and what makes sense is what I go with. That has been my life.
Yes, yes. And you do so with humility, and your humility comes to responsibility. You a person, your personality is that you do not seek or need the spotlight,
No.
but you do take ownership when something needs to be done. That's what I know about you as a characteristic, as a leader, from my memory, and I can reflect on that. Now, when it comes to leadership, how have you been helped mainly by skills like listening to understand people's problems or issues they're going through?
Oh yeah, those
What are some of
those
the things you
those
can talk?
those are
Yeah.
characteristics that are in inherent in servant leadership. Listening, is an integral part of it. Yeah, I like to listen to my people and give them the opportunity to see what it is, because I do not come with all the answers. Sometimes I come with none, but take from others or so and then forge ahead. So that is it. And we got, the Bay
Yes.
Area has knowledgeable people, yeah, so people come with sign thinking and arguments, and you just have to listen to it and go with it. So
It's
that is it. I'm a listener. I I can be persuasive and other things, but yeah, I listen and take, what people have. It just has to be where we truncate the none, and what makes sense is what we go with.
Yeah, and listening, listening helps you to listen to people's needs and stories, so that your leadership fits the real situation and not just make assumptions, right?
Mhm. Yes, indeed.
Yes, yes. But part of that, of serving leadership as a whole, especially serving your community, is about your character as well. It is
Oh,
about your character and not your
indeed,
charisma, but your character, the
indeed,
trust that you build through your consistency and
indeed.
your
Yes,
honesty.
trust reports in you. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what makes it easy, because you can not show that you are this, and then people see you to be something different. That what makes us to be respected, revered, and think, because they see that authenticity in us, and they see integrity that comes with it. Because you know I'm a man of God, so with that part of my life, or so I mirror my life as, trying to be like Christ, and if I have to be that way, then I can't be fake and, doing things, or, I have to live
Mhm.
that way. And that's what I do. And the fact that being a man of God, makes it easy, so that helps significantly, being a person of God and know what it is that you have to do.
Yeah.
Character, like they say, is when no one sees you and they can still, revere you. So that's pretty much it. So it comes with integrity. Integrity.
Mhm. Integrity, not just words, but integrity, showing up and doing what you say you would do
Yes.
on a consistent basis. Not perfect, but at least 99% of what you would like for you to do to make a difference in someone else's
And
life.
let me
And
interject. And talking about that, when I was leader of the community, I tell you, our Liberians, we are chronically, when it comes to tardiness and other things. Everywhere I went as a leader, when I went to a church function, I'm there an hour and a half, and then you see people running. Oh, Prezo, yeah, the Prezo, yeah, that man, he respects time and other things. So, like I told my wife, I said you will have all of the rights under this sun, but one thing you will not have
Mhm.
is, punctuality. I do not compromise it. You have to give that to me. Every other thing you win, but with that, so even at work, I go 2 hours ahead of time where I can look at my Liberian newspaper, all the dailies, lesson plan, or just everything, and still have enough time to you know, be ready to meet my students. So yes, punctuality and doing those things. I just wanted to interject.
Exactly, exactly. And how do you develop ways and means to empower people in your community as a leader?
Well, people just have to see that it's not about power, it's not about control, but shared objective. And with a shared objective, people can rally around you. You got to delegate. It's not about you. You
Yes.
see, a servant first leader, it's not about you, it's about the interest and well being of others. And what you want to do is empower others, because you will leave the stage and then
Mhm.
the young ones will emulate you, you know,
Yeah,
you know,
that's true. That's
come
true.
after you and lead. So that's what you have to do. That's why a servant first leader is the right way, because a leader first individual is just something that is totally inimical to what it is a servant leader is, because it's about power, control, personal aggrandizement, and those things. And that's not the kind of life that I live.
Yes, and the good thing is that for you, your life, your leadership style is you share credit, with others, and you create space for people to grow, and that is a very good thing that I believe members of the community have seen, and I am a testament. I am a testimony
Yeah.
person who saw how you did things, reaching out to people. But part of that is your sacrificial love with your wisdom.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that?
Well, you got to make people, you got to see people and empower them and make them to be valued. You see, it's about valuing people and their worth. It's not about because you are a servant. You see, you're not a master. You see, what did Jesus say? He come to what? To serve and not to be served, So, and I embodied that, if we want to be Christ like, we have to emulate those noble
Mhm.
examples that were taught to us. You see, yeah, I don't mind other people getting the glory. I don't care. It's about them. When you do that, then glory goes to you. But there are so many other people that does the heavy lifting, and they got to be recognized, and that's
Indeed, indeed, indeed. And that sacrificial love is sometimes you get a phone call and then your members say, "Hey, I got to talk to you about something." It could be 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's urgent and they want to talk to you. In that experience, how do you handle it? How do you handle
or
that
you
kind of
you
situation?
you have to you serve the people, so you have to avail yourself. You are not a master, you are a servant. They are your bosses, so you have to look at it that way. You see, that's why we do the reverse thing. That's why our country have not gone have not gone far. 1847, and because people see themselves, it's all about authority and stature and those things. No, I empower the people, and it is inherent in them, and through them I can shine like a rose, you see. And that's how I have done it, and it has worked. It has worked. To see people, you know, I mean, it was a sight to behold. November 8th. You asked people in California, you saw some of the clip,
Mhm.
it was like nothing we've seen. People that have been here 40 years have had like almost 500 to 800 occasions. They said it was the greatest by far, because everybody, to just see unanimity of people, everyone just so happy. Oh,
Mhm.
that's that couple. Oh, they're on board. When they having meetings, just the clicks, people coming in. I mean, it was something like Yasa said. She said it was the easiest, and she has had so many plethora of events, but this
Mhm.
one was just effortless. It was so easy because everybody was on board. And if
Yes.
everybody being on board, then that means they're satisfied with what you do. And what we do in the community when we have occasion. My wife is the leader for those women that will cook. She is the one that does the organization and lead in that department. And you
Yes.
see, when you love by people, you can speak to anyone and they
Mhm.
will not give you a no. You see, when she speaks to the people, they gravitate to her. Everybody comes on board. Like in California here, we don't have family people, shouldering the burden to say, they got to do this. The women bring the food, the men bring the drinks. That's the kind of culture that we have brought.
Yes.
And I took one thing from Liberia that I have brought here, and it has worked. It has worked. Like our poor folks, you got one or two big, people in the family that will come if there's a death in the family. You call them, they come, and maybe you take a month. So I because that's the kind of culture that so I brought it over here. Like if someone dies within the community or family member, mother passes with, whether in Liberia or anywhere, we come together, we put arms around them. And I'm Matthew, the tax collector. I would
Mhm.
be there collecting the money and doing things, and my wife organizing. And we've done it, if 36
Mhm.
years, if you count the event, it's over 1,005 or so of those things we're talking about. But that's what we do. And
Yes.
every time my community will show up. I mean, just the other time, my mother passed 2 months or three
Mhm.
months ago. And I tell you, because of the love that we have, that we do these things, it was like the father and mother in trouble. Within
Hmm.
2 hours, these people had given us $10,000. Can you believe it? These are the kind of people we're talking about.
Yes.
And before my wife and myself could get home, because people who couldn't make it, another $1,000 was in Zelle and Cash App. And by the time from Sunday to Saturday, it had gone to $15,000. Can you believe it? I mean, that's the kind
Wow.
of people we talking about. And by the same token, right after that, we in less than a month, they put this elaborate program for us. And we did not have to spend a penny, not 1 cent, especially with my wife. My wife never sits down. She always the energizer bunny, but to punish her that night and say, you will not touch anything. We will honor you. We will put you guys outside. And they did, That was the
Yes.
kind of community that we have here. Loving community. care for one another. And that's our imprint that we put on this community.
Yes, that imprint. We'll talk more about that in a minute here. Take a break. But before we do that, for some of you who are just joining us here, this is the Gracious Hope Podcast. And we have as our special guest, Mr. Yudusie Edit Tarpeh. He lives in California, Northern California, and he's a community leader. And we are talking about the essence of servant leadership due to his or because of his leadership, his style, and how well he get along in the community selflessly, sacrificially, with love and humility. He was recently honored and appreciated by the community members, as well as not just him, but he and his wife. And so we are talking about how to serve your community with passion and also do so with diligence so that others who are in need will feel obligated, not obligated, but belong. They will feel that they are belong or being part of the community to receive that love in return. And that's what we're talking about here today, the essence of servant leadership with Mr. Tarpeh. We'll be right back. We'll take a break. And don't forget to click that share button with and share this program with your friends, your groups, your family, your relatives, so that they can be a part of this podcast as well. We'll be right back. Don't go away. All right, we're back here again on the Gracious Hope Podcast. And Mr. Tarpeh, we know it is all about making sacrifice as a servant leader in your community and doing so with diligence and faithfulness. Now, have you been able to set healthy boundaries between you and community members? And because as a servant leaders, there are other people who will see your kindness or your compassionate heart to kind of, go over the line and step over the line and manipulate and do a lot of other things. How have you been able to handle those boundaries that you set up for yourself as a leader?
To tell you the truth, I haven't, because that's just my life, to care about people. That's why I'm on this earth. Just to, it is the ultimate joy that I get, just doing random acts of kindness and caring for humankind. I got that from my late mother and my late sister, Maybelline. When she passed, she gave me that, performed that divine surgery within me. And it's all about just caring about humankind, being there for people. Because the ultimate joy I get is to uplift people. It's not about me, like I said. It's about, what can I do to. So I know, healthy boundaries, but I always avail myself. So it's a fault of mine that I haven't corrected.
Okay. Okay. And let's talk more about what people say at that occasion on November 8th. I know there were a lot of people delivering speech, and I know you deliver speech. We'll come to that. But what were people saying about this honoring of you and your wife as good servants in the community? What were
Well,
some of the things you can recap?
they said we, have served the community, and it was time to get our flowers, because we've never failed the community, not once. If it comes to death within the community, it is us. My wife is the organizer. whatever it is, she will go there. I tell you, just the other day, my I call him my play dad. His mother passed, and why I call him play dad, I'm older than he and his wife. But when I came in this country less than a month or so, first time knowing what they call eviction, I was evicted. And because of my sister, he said, May, I would take your brother in. And they took me in, he and his wife. So his mother passed the other day, and then his wife texted my wife. I was I was having service, Zoom, delivering my sermon or so, and she said, when you're done with your sermon, we gotta go. Your dad, mom passed. And by the time we got there, we had to leave from Fairfield to Antioch. They were still asleep, when we got there. And when even the people that were in Antioch had not reached there and we had gone. So that's the kind of thing right there. All I had to do, have my service, right after that, we just went. And when the people from Antioch came to say, these two people, they are here again. So we never fail our people, we are always, that's our life. And we've made a commitment to them that, you know, that we will continue. We have resolved to, serving them. We have resolved to loving them. And, we have resolved to just, being there for them, and because of what that reciprocal bond that they have shown us, and we are there for them. Yeah.
And what have you learned over the years about serving people? What have you learned, like lessons learned that you can share with our audience?
It just brings immense joy for me. That's all I'm on this earth for. If, like the song say, if I can help somebody as I travel along, then my living will not be in vain. And that's all we want to do, just lessen the burden of others, and when you do that, your burden will become, lighter. It was, Ezra, Taft Benson, that said that. And that's it. Lessen the burden of others, and your own burden will be lighter. And that's what I'm on this earth to do. And I do it. I see myself as a humanitarian and philanthropist. I do it sometimes. My wife does so, and then people come and bust the secret to her.
But,
Yeah.
but the question is, all these variety of people you're dealing with, some of them have, different ways of doing things, but it is still community because we're still the same community, and we are all different in what we do, but we come together as a community in bereavement, come together when it's wedding anniversary, come together when it's birthday, graduation, and a lot of other festivities, particularly during the holiday season, and our country's Liberia celebration. What have you actually learned from people, just dealing with people for the over the years you've been living in that particular state? What have you learned so far? What are some of the lessons can you share with our viewers?
All that our people, they are good people. Like my wife invariably says, every time we go to those occasions and things, and when we come through, she always says, our people, we are good people. We've bred the culture within this enclave, the Liberian in the diaspora, that our people, because we are a part of it and to see what it is we do. So we got almost 95% of good, kind-hearted, and with that agape love, is what is just brewing around the San Francisco Bay Area. The people that are just good hearted because of who they see. Like we said, it is integrity. And if people can see in you that you are trustworthy, because it all boils down to trust, they can gravitate to you. And that's what they have seen in my wife and myself, and they have gravitated. So over the years, we just growing kind of, compassionate, empathetic, and those things. Because all of these virtues that was embedded in us, we have brought it to the fore, and it's just it becomes contagious and infectious, and
Mhm.
people just running with it. So
Okay.
I find us to be
Mhm.
just getting kinder and just good-hearted people.
Good, good. And I know it can be overwhelming when you have your community honor you and appreciate you for your household to be very helpful or to contribute something more meaningful, to contribute love, to contribute service, to contribute sacrifice for others, and also ensuring that unity prevails, that peace prevails in a community. Now, if you look at yourself and reflect right now, look at your reflection of you being honored at that particular program on November 8th. Um, can you share with us what was your feedback, like response, your speech, and what are some of the things that you said that you can share with us or others who are listening who are also community leaders?
I
Would you
tell
love
you the truth, when I was getting ready, my children came to the house, and I had, I'm an educator, Satya. I had written this, I had written 4 pages, of paper to go and just elucidate, and then my son and daughter said, Daddy, what are you doing? You may have just 2 minutes to talk to the people. No, they don't have that time with all this book here. You feeling writing here to thank the people. So
Mhm,
sadly, I did not, but I just talked to them about how immensely gratified we were that the manifestation of that blooming garden of our impact had not gone unnoticed, and
mhm.
it has germinated into that ripened fruit that we are reaping the harvest. So that pretty much was it. But
Oh,
it was heartfelt, and we were appreciative of our people, because our people have never failed us yet
mhm.
in this
That's
area.
good. Okay, and so as the year come to close, um, anything that is in the making, like plan for the community that you know about, something to bring more unity
Yeah, yeah,
among leaders.
we have an interim leadership right now, and what we planning is we planning to, like a potluck where people will, cook, and we bring drinks and just kind of celebrate the year, and then we the community will be going to ask for gospel, for the New Year Eve celebration. But it's not lost on me that this joyous anticipation and preparation
Mhm,
for the Savior's birth, especially this dual anticipation of the Savior's birth, and then the second coming. So
mhm.
as a man of God, it's just something that I look towards Advent, and this joyous anticipation of our Savior's birth. But more so, what I'm doing, as I invariably do, is alms giving,
Mhm,
especially to less fortunate family members within Liberia, and even some in the diaspora, to
mhm.
just give what God has blessed us immensely with, to just brighten their day. I got so many parts that I have to work with. I've started, and maybe before the weekend to finish. Just,
Okay.
If a day can be brighter, it's all worthwhile. And that's how I get my immense joy.
Yes, making the day brighter for a lot. And most of your friends, maybe that you haven't seen or heard from, or you talk to regularly, some that are mostly in Liberia, they are watching you right now, Mr. Tarpeh. What kind of message would you like to send to them about the essence of servant leadership and your
As,
contribution to the
as a
community?
minister of the gospel, let me put on my ministerial hat of soul. Let me beseech my brethren, let me implore them that, servant leadership is the way to go. We should be servant and not masters. But we get it twisted when we do it the other way around.
Mhm.
So I am beseeching, especially leaders within Liberia, wherever we are in our own Jerusalem, that we can be our brother's keeper, our sister's keeper, and just, make that ripple effect, that good Samaritan spirit is what I want to be emblematic and symptomatic of people in all parts of the world. Because
Hmm.
if we can help one another, we can make the world a better place for all humankind. So it is my fervent wish and ardent desire. So I beseech my people, servant leadership is the way because we have modeled it in California, in the Bay Area, and bar none, we are on the cutting edge in America. Our people, like my wife always say, we are good people. And it is on the shoulders of giants that we stand. We haven't done it on our own. But let's make this world a better place by caring for one another. Because, like the song says, if I can help somebody as I
Mhm.
travel along, then my living will not be in vain. And that's what it's about, helping somebody, uplifting somebody, making their lot better in life is what we have, made our life and our time in this Bay Area to be, and Albert Schweitzer, he said the purpose of human life is to serve and to, show compassion and the will to love others. So if we lose ourselves, like Mahatma Gandhi said, in the service of others, that's
Mhm.
the best way to do. Help somebody, help somebody climb Jacob's ladder, and they can, in return reciprocate. And that's the way I see this world, where it should be about compassion, it should
Mhm.
be about empathy, and that altruistic nature, and the byproduct of that will be kindness, generosity, that kindred spirit,
Mhm.
you will be the embodiment of those things that you can live by and think, So it is my ardent wish and fervent desire of every humankind, to be that way.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And I know if your wife Amanda is listening, would like to say we appreciate you for all that you do for the Bay, San Francisco area of the Liberian community. We are proud of you for being there for women, for family, for all of the festivities that you always step forward to galvanize people to cook and do everything else. And I'm a witness to that, and about your reaching out and in this public manner. I say that with confidence that indeed people can count on you because of the heart of compassion that you have. And so all of those who are listening, our special guest here today is Mr. Yudusie Eddie Tarpeh, a respected and trusted community leader in Northern California. Mr. Tarpeh is known for his steady commitment to people, the kind that does not make headlines but makes a difference in the lives of people in the community. And alongside him, we also celebrate his wife, Mrs. Amanda Tarpeh, and the two of them were recently honored and appreciated on November 8th for their selfless service to the community. And today we have been learning from Mr. Tarpeh the spirit behind that kind of a servant leadership. And so in our conversation, we've been talking about what servant leadership really costs. We'll talk about sacrificial love. We'll talk about humility. And we'll also talk about boundaries as well as reaching out with compassion. And what, of course, servant leadership truly produces, and how ordinary people can practice servant leadership in practical ways right where they are, right in a community. Okay. And to reflect on how a leader sustains that compassionate heart without burning out, and how family can serve together with joy, and how communities are strengthened when leaders choose faithfulness over the spotlight or fame. And we are very delighted to have you here today. We'd like to say thank you, Mr. Tarpeh. And if you have any final word, please do.
I want to, on behalf of my community, the
Mhm.
Liberian Association of Northern California, I want to say thank you. You were once an integral part, like I said, maybe people just coming. You served as my Secretary General, when I was leader of the community, and we go way back. And it just, when you do those things and don't look for the spotlight or so, it comes looking for you, you see.
Yes.
I mean, my wife and myself, all we wanted to do was just God's duty as a Christian, and with a heart of compassion. And look what the people did. They have been honoring us here, but this was like the icing of the cake for our body of work. So I want to, beseech people. I want to encourage us that we don't have to be rich, to do these things. We just have to have that heart, that
Mhm.
compassionate heart, that empathetic heart, where we can see what others going through and feel what they're going through, and then, make a difference in the lives of people, because that's all that we will be, recognized for, So living on this earth and not making an impact in the lives of people, like I always say, you are living dead, and I don't want to live dead.
All right, that's good. And that's how we end here today. Our podcast will be back here again as always. It is a pleasure having you here. It's a pleasure having all of you watching our podcast today on the essence of servant leadership with our special guest, Mr. Yudusie E. Tarpeh. Thank you for coming, Mr. Tarpeh.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Alex Red, and I, usually a fan of your great writing, all your books. I'm one of the number one fan, and it has enriched me in my, search, and doing what it is that I do as a minister of the gospel, reaching the lost and other things. So thank you. I always look to those insightful writings from you, and just look at what God have placed you, what in
Amen.
this world for you shall see your face. So let's just keep reaching more people in our own Jerusalem. That's what I want to say.
Amen. And thank you for being our guest, and thank you for accepting our invitation.
You're welcome. Have a
Pre
blessed evening.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you and Amanda.
All right, to you and the wife, and
Thank
to
you.
the kids.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.